of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening and welcome to the December 10th, 2018 Fort Ann Town Board meeting. We don't need to take a moment of silence this evening for any resident who passed away during the last month. So we need a motion to approve the meeting agenda.
So move.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Bill.
We need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular town board meeting that was held on November 13th.
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Any discussion needed? Aye votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions?
I'll abstain, wasn't here.
We need a motion to approve the minutes of the special town board meeting that was held on November 27th, 2018.
I'll make it.
Sam? Who's second it?
Me.
Benny? Any
Sorry.
any discussion needed?
No.
Aye votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Okay, next, the financial report for the month of November 2018. The receipts for the general fund were in the amount of $67,797.49. Disbursements, the general fund was in the amount of $65,590.92. And the total highway was $127,616.91. The checking account balances as of the November 30th, 2018. The general fund, $89,496.80. The highway fund, $43,976.82. The youth commission fund, $1,149.61. Hadlock Dam project, $240.01. The Hadlock Park District Fund, $3,330. The Consolidated Health District, $461.99. Trust and Agency Fund, $995.78. Medical Reimbursement Fund, $99.99. In the savings account balances, the general fund, $360,278.59. Hadlock Park District, $59,501.76. The highway fund, $145,570.64. And LoSAP, $15,211.60. So we need a motion to authorize the payment of the bills.
So move.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion needed? Aye votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, next on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to comment on the agenda this evening. Is there anyone in the audience? Mr. Bailey?
On the agenda is the Hadlock Pond Park Manager position. At the last meeting on November 27th, there was some talk about dividing up the duties and using the gentleman from the Darren Institute with doing some of the reporting.
There's a possibility, right?
Yeah, possibility, it was discussions, and what I'm concerned about is who's going to do some of the jobs that were covered by the Hadlock Park Manager if the position isn't filled as is currently designated and by his job description. Question like, what are the procedures to report issues and dealing with them? Who's going to do the annual reports to regulators? Who's going to do the Park District annual budget? Who's going to deal with we talk about the milfoil and how we would do the harvesting, but who's going to keep track of other issues like water chestnuts and organizing that effort? Who's going to evaluate the success if you develop into the, on the agenda also, you have the aqualogic contract.
We'll probably touch upon many of these things during the agenda as we go through the agenda this evening.
Okay, but that's our issues is dependent, based on our previous November 27th meeting, there's a lot of duties that are more than just the day-to-day activity of the harvester.
And I think I have some suggestions as to what we will do.
And my other question would be, along with that, we talked about the Darren Institute fulfilling some of these roles. They would not be doing that for free. Have you discussed
Yeah,
fees for that?
And I've also had some conversations with someone else regarding the possibility for them doing some of these things that might need to be done. But we'll talk about those a little bit. We will not have all the answers tonight, Bill, and we will touch upon them as we get through the agenda. Okay, anyone else that want to talk about the agenda this evening? Since I see no hands, let's continue on and the public hearing. As you know, we opened the public hearing and we did not close it. Public hearing is to reduce the number of planning board seats from 7 to 5. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to be heard regarding the reduction of the number of seats from 7 to 5? Since I see no hands, it's now 6:06 p.m. and we'll close the public hearing. Okay. Supervisors report. The last month, you may recall, the young man was here talking to us about LED lights in the town hall and the garage. And the town board authorized me the ability to sign the contract as long as the contract wasn't more than 10% more than the National Grid contract itself wasn't more than 10% of what the proposal was. And I'm pleased to be able to say that for the town hall, the quote was $995, and that was the net after the incentive from National Grid. And the actual contract is $831.18. So it was $163.82, and less than what the quote was for. On the garage, the quote was $5,223, and that was also net after the incentive from National Grid. And the actual contract amount was in the amount of $5,051.36, so it was $71.64 less than what the quote was. And I signed the contracts, forwarded them on to the gentleman that was here, and he's going to arrange for the work to be done. The work needs to be done before the end of December to qualify for the incentive, and he's assured me that will happen. And I expect, supposedly, Paul, they're going to start at the garage first, and then come to the town hall. And it really doesn't matter where as far as I'm concerned. I put them on notice that they cannot do any work in the town hall on Wednesday because it's a court day. So that should happen pretty soon. Next is the New York State DOT notified myself and Paul that there's 2 speed limits that we requested. The one on Lake Nebo Road, one on Lake Nebo Road, on the paved section of Lake Nebo Road is going to be 30 miles per hour. And I guess, Paul, how's this thing work? We wait until they actually post it with the state, and then they come back and tell us, okay, well, we put the signs up. And the other one was over on Madison Road. Madison Road between Kingsbury Town Line and Route 149 to go to a 45-mile-an-hour speed limit. And once again, you have to wait. How long does it typically take, Paul, before the state can?
10 to 30 days of
So whenever they,
Yeah.
okay. Right. Next thing I have, Todd Hummerston, the dog control officer. He's not here this evening, but he sent an email to myself and I forwarded it on to the board about some changes he'd like to make regarding the proposed animal law rewrite. And he asked that he'd like to work with a couple of people from the town to go over what he's suggesting and then come back to the town board with his recommendation. And I was wondering, Barbara, if you, since you were involved with the dogs, if you might want to work with one of the board members on this.
That's fine.
And which board member, Debbie, would you like to be able to work with?
Sure.
Okay, so I will notify them, Todd, that you get in touch with Barbara and she'll get in touch with you and you guys can get together and go through this and then come back and make a recommendation to us, okay?
Okay.
Rich?
Yes.
This is gonna, from what I've read, it's gonna mirror Kingsbury's law?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then today, let me say today, but the next one I want to just to touch base about is that last Thursday I attended the septic system meeting over in Lake George, and it was pretty interesting to listen to them, what they've done to date. And one of the things that I learned by attending the meeting is the number of steps they took before they actually got the public, they didn't just try to pass a law and put it in place. I'm not talking about Queensbury, I'm talking about Lake George itself. And it was pretty interesting. They showed, you get yourself some data, some real hard data to be able to prove to people that there's a need to take this step about, having septic systems inspected. They had a pretty interesting thing that they were able to get some money to where, from the state, where they were able to say to somebody, if you change your septic system, we'll pay for half of it, which was pretty interesting. I don't know if we'll have that opportunity or not, but we're going to continue to look forward into this about septic systems because it's something that needs to get addressed. And what they've done is, over in different parts of the Lake George, they invited all of the supervisors who had properties that abut the lake, and not all of them were there, but a good number of them were there. But Ron Conover, who was the supervisor over in Bolton, he had a pretty interesting comment. And if you saw it in the paper, it said something like this: he would not look forward to having to go to the Post-Star and to say, oh, by the way, the public beach is closed for the summer because of septic systems. That's way over here. I'm taking it real fast over there, but it's something that we just can't say, no, we're not going to pay any attention to it, but you don't just do it in one big jump and take care of that. But so I'm going to continue to keep an eye on that. And one of the guys I want to get to is to have a sit-down meeting with Chris Nowitzki, who is the water keeper over in Lake George, because he's kind of like the guru about septic systems and whatnot. But I'm going to have a meeting with him after the first of the year and just see what he has to say. And I'll keep you posted as we go forward. I want to announce that the annual finance review is going to be held on Thursday, January 17th, 2019 at 10 o'clock at the town hall. And that's where the board members go and sit down and we go through everybody's books, and there's a checklist you go through and you answer questions. So that will be on Thursday, January 17th, 2019 at 10 o'clock, and it's open to the public. And then I have $25, and I sold one of the books at the town hall.
Yep, we'll give it right to Arlene or Mr. or Mrs. Barber. Yep.
I will gladly. I knew it didn't go in my pocket.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's
I went through my mail this afternoon and I said, oh, well, I forgot about this $25.
Arlene, I'll need a couple more books, I think I'm out.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. That's great.
Yeah, it
The
is.
last thing that I have to cover this evening is the Hughes Network Systems. They're one of the companies that are gonna bring cable to the area. They are going to be having some public hearings. One's gonna be in Steuben County, one's gonna be at the Indian Lake Town Hall, and another one's gonna be at the Marlboro Town Hall. And if you want to comment, that if you can't attend the public hearings and you want to comment on them coming to do business in this area, you can write to the Empire State Development, and all the necessary, your comments have to be in writing, and they have to be received by Friday, December 21st at noontime. Barbara will have this at the town hall, and if there's any one of you that are excited about writing to them, feel free to do so. Okay, that's the end of my report. Next, will we have the town board members? Debbie?
I'm fine.
Gretchen?
Just reminding people that the fishing derby is set for January 12th. We do have some ice, but we're hoping for a heck of a lot more. It's on Hadlock. Tomorrow there's a luncheon at the library with Deputy Earl and his K-9 partner, Bruca. He's from the Washington County office, Sheriff's Office. Reservations are required. If you want to go, please call tomorrow morning. It should be today, but we just had the meeting tonight, so. And I've got information on where you can call. But it's usually a fun event at the library, and it costs $5 for lunch. Pretty good. Or $3, I'm sorry. The Office of the Aging had a meeting last week, and the meeting started at 10, and the fire alarm went off at 10:02. So we had no meeting. And they were gonna vote on the senior of the year, but we're gonna do that a different way, so I can't tell anybody anything tonight, because I don't know. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Sam?
Yes, I talked last meeting about attempting in December to have a meeting on the Battle Hill, and I have a message here from the LA group that has been working on it with us because they're pursuing some other things for us, and rather than have two meetings, we're going to go to January so we can consolidate everything that we have. Some of the information will be out at that point in time. But it says the plan is for the LA group to complete the companion report in January and follow up with a meeting with a committee at the end of January. We are still on track to pursue funding through the January due date of the American Battlefield Program under two programs, one for the land purchase and one to development the interpertinent signage program. So that we'll do that all at one time and not have to have two meetings. We'll do it once and we actually have some more information to put out on that. But it's on track and it's moving forward, so that's a good thing.
Good.
That's all I have, sir.
Okay, thank you. Danny?
Jim, yeah, I've got a couple things. Jim and Darlene from Battle Hill would like to say thanks to everybody. They received, I guess, a letter, and they're most appreciative of that.
I was over there Thursday for lunch.
Yes. Yeah.
Jim came over and thanked us. And
Yeah, good. They were quite pleased.
They've been a welcome addition to the town, there's no doubt about it.
Absolutely. Second, kudos to Sam Hall and Christine Miller. And there was a letter to the editor in the Chronicle from Ann D'Angelico Murray, secretary of the auxiliary post 574 in Hudson Falls, thanking you, Christine in particular, and the other members of the community that fought so hard to bring the Battle Hill to the public. And it's a nice, short, but very nice. So I picked that up, wanted to give you kudos.
Well, thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah, serious. The other thing, I don't know if we can, if I need to bring it out here, and I'm not, it's not a slam. Our trailer dude up on Route 22, last week he had 3. Sunday he had 4. So, you know,
Is that the one
it's,
with
you
the
know who it
addition, with the
is.
additions added to the,
No, this is the guy that's been storing them that
yeah,
is suing everybody and.
yeah, okay.
So at any rate, last week he had 3 on the way to church, I count. This Sunday he had 4, so I'm just putting it out there. It's, you know, it's gonna be a battle with this guy, I know that, but, you know, it's not just me. There are a couple other people that are concerned about this guy, but other than that, thank you for your time.
Okay.
What are you smirking
Barbara?
at?
Check was given to the bookkeeper for $426.24 for the period of November 1st to November 30th.
I miss weed whacker.
Paul?
Currently, we're been dealing with a few of the small storms there. Everything so far so good, no breakdowns, no major issues. Of course, we have quite a bit of newer equipment. We finally received our new sander that's been out to bid since I think September. That showed up last week. That's just about all installed on the truck. That should be going tomorrow, I hope.
Hopefully you'll never use it.
That's just what I said. We get the same in the spring, but
Yeah.
good luck with that. We're up in Lake Nebo Road. I don't know if everybody's aware, we had a beaver dam fail, washed out the road and the culverts and whatnot. The road's been open for, I don't know, a month or so or whatever, but we're up there today, finishing up, well, today and tomorrow, hopefully drawing material in. We're gonna stockpile some for spring to finish it off, but road's pretty good shape, holding up good. Let's see, I had a call, I don't know if everybody recalls the bank slide over on Farley Road 6 months ago or whatever it was. I met with Mark Migliori, which at the time didn't really seem very concerned. I was told that people can dump on their property. It wasn't really nothing to do with the town, and nothing really the town or the state should do at that time. Well, I received a call from Mark last week that things have changed because another chunk of the bank has fallen. And the brook's starting to plug off a little more. The guy at the bottom of the stream's losing some more property. Now he wants to know what the town wants to do to fix it. So I have contacted Richie, and I talked to Deb Donahue at Washington County DPW, and when they get a chance, they're gonna send somebody up to see what their thoughts on it is. They're trying to blame the town, that it's the town that started dumping over the bank, which we didn't by no means.
Paul, has the town ever dumped anything over that bank?
Well, we fixed the road back, and I don't know if Sam remembers, it's 90s, 93, 94, I would guess.
94 timeframe.
The town spent, no,
But never the dumping?
not on that part of the bank. We changed the culvert, we dumped some cobble over it to stabilize the bank so it didn't wash the bank, you know, when the water comes through the culvert. We put a couple load on the shoulder to level up the shoulder at one point. No, we did not dump over the bank. The guy across the street that has all the concern about losing his house and his driveway, he has videos and all kinds of pictures of the people that were there dumping. I actually spoke to Eric LePan, which owns the property, and kind of reminded him the mess that his grandfather started back in the 80s, that he shouldn't even be on there with a skidder to cut wood, but I can't tell him what to do. But we cut the wood off the bank, and then we brought in thousands and thousands of tons of debris and concrete and dumped over the bank. They were gonna put a garage up on the bank. Well, that's all at the bottom now. It's still, I'd say, 15, 18 feet from the edge of the road. At this time, we're okay, but Mark Migliori said DEC was there with drones flying over, checking the whole bank. It has slid again, and there's a spot halfway down the bank where there's water coming out of the bank. So it's probably gonna be an issue at some point, but I don't know what everybody wants to do.
I tried to reach out to Deputy Donahue today, and I haven't heard back from her, but I'll be at the county tomorrow, and I imagine I'll get to see her then and see what their suggestion is at this point in time, okay?
Okay.
But, and then Jeff, it's something we need to put on our radar screen about, it's definitely not our property. Paul, definitely not our property.
Nope, it's not our property, it's private property.
Wasn't there an issue back in 13 or 14 or something like that with something sliding there before? Seemed like there was an issue.
I don't- They were here a year or so ago with
Yeah.
concerns about people dumping over the bank. But once the concern, as soon as it comes to concern, the town gets pointed at for some reason. Of course, the town's got more money in there for pan, I guess. Thanks,
Okay,
but something to be aware of, and could be an issue tomorrow or 6 months from now, or
alrighty. That a Paul full time?
yes.
Good. Next, the enforcement officer.
Everybody got my report? Anybody got any questions? I'll certainly see if I can answer them for you.
Are you aware that he's starting to
I
stuff
just,
up there?
thank you for that. I haven't been over there in about a week,
Yeah, well,
and I'm just starting to put together a file on
Yeah,
all
he's-
of my visits and pictures and everything, because, you know, that ultimately comes to an end, so we,
yeah.
We're trying
The latest one's to
Excuse me,
pop up.
Excuse me just for a second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Since there's some legal
yes,
matter going on.
that's why
why
we
don't you
won't
just-
go any farther.
We know.
Yep, all right,
Okay.
fine.
Yeah. So, other than that, that's it.
The dog officer is not with us, but I just want to make a note that Barbara and alrighty, on to new business. I'm sorry. Skip to historian.
No, no report.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Under new business, you may remember a couple of months ago, Judge Smith asked that we consider about delaying the drawdown and the filling by 2 weeks on Hadlock. And we were supposed to have some comments last month, but Paul wasn't here because he was busy that day. He had started the day at 2:30 in the morning, taking care of some snow and some ice and sleet and whatnot. Do you have any thoughts on it, Paul, at this point in time?
My own personal thoughts, I'd like to see, I mean, is it like this year, we're having issues trying to get the water down where it is. We already have ice. I'd like to see the drawdown stay where it is. I mean, if they wanted to wait to fill it.
You know, the one thing I
But then you
thought,
have concerns there. I mean, we've had years where we were hoping it was gonna be full by Memorial Day. So it's my thoughts.
yes, if those of us who've been around, maybe about 9 years ago, maybe 9 or 10 years ago, there was some talk about, they draw the lake down 5 feet, and they do that to hopefully protect the docks, okay? There's no
Mhm.
guarantee, but they tried to do it for that. But about 9 or 10 years ago, they wanted to take it down 10 feet.
Right.
Right? And the reason was that if you took it down 10 feet, you get more milfoil hopefully killed off because of the cold weather, right? As long as you didn't get a heavy snow early because the snow acts as a blanket. And the engineer said, no, don't go 10, but you could go 8. But if you do 8 feet, you gotta put blankets on it at night, and, you know, so it was decided, the town board at that time did not approve it, they said, we'll just keep going with the 5 feet. But what they did, the town board at that time, they said, go and get a petition from the people around the lake, that the people are willing to do this. They, you know, that they want this done, it's not just one person that's
Right.
suggesting that it gets done, that it's a whole, the majority of the people on the lake are interested in doing it. The downside is, what Paul said is 4 weeks this Saturday, that the
Yep.
thing breached, the beaver dam breached up there. If you saw the amount of water that was rushing down from where the breach took place from the beaver dam, and it was coming under the, Copeland Pond Road, and there was debris that went, and I guess, Laura, some of the debris ended up at your house. You were so fortunate. And you can keep it, okay? But it's a tricky thing. I mean, here we are, you know, a month later, and we're still
We had the water level at
to
the,
where it should be.
where it should have been at one point.
And so you gotta think about that.
Didn't
The
last
other
a
Down,
one-
I was gonna say, it was down real low.
Yeah.
So now, the only thing with the, in waiting 2 weeks on the fill-up, and if the fill-up, if you get a lot of the runoff then,
Yeah,
and it's a slow fill-up after that, how are people gonna feel about that?
right.
So I just think maybe the safest thing to do is to get some people, you got a petition and say, okay, are you agree with this or not? And then the board should take an action on that, Judge. I think that,
May I just ask a question?
no, you're entitled to that.
Because you do get frost damage.
Yes.
I mean, some years, you could do it, not an issue at all. Then there's years like this year where,
So if you want to pursue that, that's what would be my recommendation, is we go, unless anybody else on the board has a suggestion.
So if they did decide they wanted to lower it, is there still a requirement for the blankets and that type of stuff?
No, so we would still lower it just 5 feet, but it would be.
They wanna go later.
But just
Just
later.
wait the 2 weeks
Okay.
longer before we would lower it. And then, instead of, when the ice is out and they go and they don't shut the valve down completely, but they let the.
Yes, we do.
Completely.
when the ice is out, both
They
valves
let
are
it
shut,
go right
yes.
away
Yes.
and to fill it. So you, if nothing happens, everything's great.
Yep.
If something happens, then
It's a problem.
If we go this winter, don't get a lot of snow.
it will be
you're
the
not gonna
town
get a lot of
board's,
snow.
pro-
Well,
it will
it's
become the
not
town
gonna
board's problem
Yeah.
if
There's a lot of
it
variables.
becomes a problem, becomes a problem.
Like everything else. we're-
Okay, next on the, any other comments on this at this point in time? Does the board agree that it's probably a good idea to go and get a petition signed if people want this done or not?
I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Next. Bill, the Hadlock Park manager. Okay. I've given a lot of thought to this. I've read that piece of paper that you have in your hand probably more than I want to read it, okay? And I understand what the duties are, I think fairly well, and many of those duties will become part of the town's responsibility. My recommendation is going to be to the board, but I want to hear from the board if they disagree, is that we change the title and the duties of the park manager, and we have it become what we call a seasonal harvesting supervisor. And the reason I say this is twofold. I have some concerns with what the budget required for 2019 for the use of a mechanical harvester. In that budget that was submitted, it was to operate the harvester for only 27 days during the months of June, July, and August. And you can operate it until Labor Day in September. Last year, we had trouble with staffing the pontoon boats. And I think one of the problems we may have had problems with staffing had to do with maybe the limited number of days that people would be working. You know, typically you're gonna get college kids, maybe some high school kids. But high school kids don't get out of school until like the third week in June. And we've already started, you know, the harvesting of the weeds in the lake. How do you go to a college kid and you say, in June, July, and August, you're gonna work 9 days in June, 9 in July, and 9 in August? That's pretty tough. How do you tell the people in the north end of the lake where they have a problem with shallowness and they have weeds, be it Richardson Pond weed, be it milfoil, be it whatever you want to call it, that we're going to limit the amount of time the harvester is going to be on the lake, and we're going to end up with boat prop chop, where the props are cutting the weeds, and the stuff is just spreading. And eventually, it stays up, and if the pontoon boat's out there collecting the the fragmentation, it settles to the bottom of the lake. And I think that that needs to be thought, that first and foremost needs to be addressed. We're not gonna address it tonight, we're not gonna spend a lot of time on this tonight. This is something that's gonna need more thought in what's gonna happen. The dash boat that, the Aqualogic, you may recall 2 weeks ago, tomorrow night, we had Aqualogic here, and he made his pitch to us as to what we should do, and you heard him say that we should plan on, what we should try to do is plan on 70 to 80 days of suction harvesting. When the budget was put together, that if we would have purchased the dash boat at the price of $44,000, and then the charge would be $750 a day for the actual suction harvesting to take place. If we didn't purchase the boat at $44,000, it was going to be $1,000 a day. And then when the gentleman was here 2 weeks ago and he submitted his proposal, the $1,000 became $1,250 a day. Okay? You've heard me say at the last meeting a couple of weeks ago, we had to stay within the budget no matter what we're going to do. We're going to stay within the budget. The last charge that I asked the gentleman was to come back with 2 proposals, 2 contracts, so that I could have the attorney for the town review the contracts. And I asked him to have a contract with the dash boat, for the purchase of the boat, and not with the purchase of the boat. Well, lo and behold, as of this morning, nothing from that gentleman. However, today, this morning, he calls and he says to me he was upset that the Post-Star was in attendance at the meeting. Okay, it's a public meeting; they have every right to come. And he informed me that he's taking his offer off the table to purchase the boat. The only offer that he's making is $1,250 a day. So I asked him, I said, let me ask you a question. I said, is there a minimum number of days that you would operate on the lake? He said, yes, 15 days. Now I find it difficult and hard to believe that in 15 days we would have a significant impact on the milfoil on the lake. Then I asked him another question. I said, well, what if we did, I said, let me just pick a number out of the air. I said, what if we did 30 days? What would happen? He said, oh, we'd come in and do 20 days up front, then we'd wait and come back late in the summer and do another 10 days, and it would make a difference. I said, we don't, then I said, you were supposed to send me 2 contracts, one with the boat, the purchasing of the dash boat, and the one without it. And he said, well, I'm not sending you any contracts. He said, until you tell me what you guys are doing. He said, and then I want to have a private meeting and I want the Post-Star there. Is that camera rolling? Chad, thank you. And,
Yeah, sir.
that I can tell you, that meeting would be held in the public, okay? And I can tell you this, we will not make a decision on suction harvesting until we make a decision on how many days we're going to run the harvester. Because in the budget that was submitted, the budget specifically called for 27 days at about $1,000 a day to run that, the 2 pontoon boats and the harvester. So we gotta figure that one out first. And we need to be able to staff it properly, so we don't end up like we did this past summer. And maybe some of the reason we had some of the fragmentation that we had this past year And you have to admit, we had more fragmentation in 2018 than we did in 2017. It might be because of the staffing problem. I don't know that to be factual. But how do you go and how do you staff the pontoon boats in particular? The harvester operator, Charlie said he's coming back. And if Charlie could run it 112 days, he'd run it 112 days, trust me. That's not the answer either, okay? But I need to dig further into this, find out first and foremost how much it's gonna cost to run the harvester in an appropriate manner that take care of the weeds. And then we can decide how much money we have left to do any suction harvesting, if any at all, okay? So.
What's it, Rich, can I ask?
Yes, sure.
What's the minimum staff we have that can do both, operate the harvester and the pontoon?
So you need the operator for the harvester.
Right.
You need an operator on each of the pontoon boats. And then we staffed the pontoon boats with 2 collectors on each boat. Hannah, last year you had trouble, am I correct?
We had one per boat.
We had 1 per boat.
It was forcing me to do 2 jobs at the same time. I was driving and collecting, just to try and reduce fragmentation. It was, out of the 4 years I've been out there, that was the worst. Growth. It's just a perfect storm.
So that's where we're at. Now, Bill, your question, I would look forward, if you would, as a gentleman that you are, to send me a list of questions that you have. Who's going to do it? Off the top of my head, some of the things you read off.
Sure.
The final report, it would become from the town. And in this, what I envision is to have this seasonal harvesting supervisor. The job description would be as follows. For the mechanical harvester, the seasonal harvesting supervisor would work jointly with the mechanical harvester operator to determine areas where the harvester needed to operate. That person would be responsible for the disposal of the collected weeds. The person would maintain a daily activity log for the harvester operated, the start and end times of the harvesting operation, and the weight of the collected weeds. And then I have an asterisk. That person would not be responsible for the operation of the harvester. The harvesting operator would be the person who would be responsible for that, for the maintenance. The pontoon boats. That person would be responsible for the hiring and the supervision of the staff, the training of the staff, the annual safety training meeting, the administration duties like payrolls, time cards, and vouchers. And that person would submit a weekly activity report to the town supervisor. And that person would also report any changes in water quality to the town supervisor. For example, algal blooms, water chestnuts, and other suspicious changes. Now, we've been fortunate in the past, Bill, for the water chestnuts, for example. I know you hit that up. The water testing, Sal's been doing it the last couple of years. I know Diane and I did it for 3 years, right?
Yeah, we have a crew that does that.
And I tell you one thing, you don't want to do the water testing with Diane, okay? Trust me. Because when you get the boat where you think you want it, and she's saying, no, it's gotta go 6 inches over here, and the wind's blowing, Bill, it's not fun, I can tell you right now. But stuff will get done. Do I have all the answers tonight, Bill? I don't. I don't have them, but I also have spent hours going over here saying, okay, what are we gonna do? Contacted a couple, I have not reached out to Larry Eichler yet. I spoke last week on Wednesday, I think it was, with someone who could possibly help. I still have to follow up with another person that can do some of the scientific stuff. But the lake survived before we had a paid park manager. Were there some benefits of that? No doubt about it. If there's anybody asks me what the best 2 things that have happened from having a park manager, the 2 things that come to mind that I think were most important was GPS. So you know you went down here, so you weren't going over here and cutting over here. You knew to come down this way and come back this way again. And the fragmentation piece, the collection of fragmentation. That, to me, was very important. You know, while you're here, I have a question, because is there, on one of the pontoon boats, is there some welding that needs to be done on one of them that has a leak that you're aware of?
2 years ago, there was damage to one of the pontoons, but Brian Yeager assured me that there wasn't any leakage to it.
Does any of the board members remember Joe in that September meeting time? I don't know if he was talking about the pontoon boat.
It stayed buoyant all year, I can tell you that.
Talking about the harvester.
The harvester,
The harvester.
the top part of the harvester.
There is a leak in the
Okay.
harvester
I've already-
and the
okay,
baffle
that's-
on the bottom,
that we
but
know about that.
there's 6 chambers.
And Northern's gonna take care of
It's,
it.
yeah,
Okay. So, this isn't, I have to work with Washington County with, what's Melissa's?
Civil service.
Civil service.
And, regarding the position and finding out what we need to do, and then what are we gonna pay the person, and who's that person gonna be? And you wanna have somebody that has some experience, that's, you don't want somebody who's coming in brand new and knows nothing about the operation, right? So we have, and I'll work on this as we go forward. We don't have any hard facts tonight. Now, if the board disagrees with what I'm recommending, now's the time to speak up. Any thoughts?
Why do you think we're having so much trouble getting collectors? Is it just the nature of the beast, or?
I believe
mean,
so.
I've got a couple people that I think might be able to help, because,
Perfect.
you know, the hours isn't a big thing with them.
Exactly.
One being this, you know, I don't want you to think to them, my grandson is in a program where we're trying to mentor him because he's special needs.
Okay.
He's involved in a program. My wife, myself, and 2 other people mentor him, teaching him life skills.
What is this program, if you don't mind me asking?
My daughter could tell you.
Okay.
All I know is I gotta fill out paperwork to God end. But he may be, and he's the type of the kid that once you show him, he catches on. And again, I'm not trying to, I don't want this to be political, please. It's
Anyone
part
is
of
worth
a-
an interview.
Okay, all right.
Anyone is worth
Thank
at
you.
least an interview.
Thank you.
100%.
Yes,
That's
he's
the only
20
stipulation, has to
He's
be over 16.
25, Bill, so,
perfect.
yeah.
Even better.
Thank you.
100%.
Any other comments that anybody wants to make tonight about this headlock situation? You know, I just make one more comment about the suction harvesting. $1,250 a day is 25% more than we thought. This is not uncommon that we've had with harvesting. Call it hand harvesting or suction harvesting. We've not had the easiest road about either one of these things.
I have one quick question. Why do you think that Dominic was so afraid of the postcard? Is there something he's trying to?
Oh, I don't know. I wasn't going.
I believe he's attempting to stay secret before his business expands more. He has a lot of things in the works right now, and I feel like he thinks he can get away with it, kind of.
Well, whatever. I wasn't biting on his comments about the postcard. That's not my problem.
It's
Okay?
not.
Next on the agenda then, if anybody else have anything else they want to say about this, because I think we should move on. Next on the agenda is the restructuring of the assessor's contract and his duties. The assessor has made a couple of changes, and they are as follows. Mike McGuire, who has served the town in a very professional manner in the last few years, was there on Tuesdays each week. And Mike has successfully become the assessor at a town down outside of Albany, so congratulations to him on that. And he's still gonna be working for John Bonanno, but he will no longer be a town employee. He'll be working with John through John's company, okay? And he'll be doing work for, he'll be doing the supposedly the input work, Laura, that goes to your office.
The computer,
The
yep,
computer
a lot of the
end,
computer work,
okay?
transfers.
Yeah, so he'll be doing that, that's his job. Then John has hired Michelle Stark, who he wants to be, to replace Mike, but she doesn't have the same skill set that Mike has. Obviously, she's just being introduced to this part of the assessor's office. And then John wants to, originally he said he wanted to come to the town hall once a month. And now he's at twice a month. And he knows that today we're discussing his proposal as a board. And I told him I would try to get back to him tomorrow or Wednesday at the latest. I know I'm going to be at the county in the morning, so hopefully tomorrow afternoon I'll be able to get back to him. But at this point in time, I think we have three options. I think the first option is we could say, we could approve his recommendation. That's one thing we could do. The second thing is we could say we're gonna try it for a 3-month trial basis and then decide what we're gonna do, if anything. Or we could go out right now for an RFP for, if he's not willing to, you know, meet the terms and, all the terms and conditions. It never said in his contract that he would be at the town hall every week. The contract said that he would have somebody there every week, and they would feed him via email or the phone. The contract for the assessors end at the end of September, am I right? Yeah, September 30th.
October 1st is.
So on October 1st, you know, so we have the opportunity, if we want, we can go out for an RFP at any time prior to that October 1st date. We certainly wouldn't wait until October 1st to go out for the RFP. We want to have somebody in place, or we would renew his contract. And I told him, I mentioned just a moment ago, we would discuss that this evening, and I would get back to board's comments, or if any.
What would be involved in the training for Michelle to bring her up to speed, because understanding where Mike was?
Yeah, it'd be John's responsibility, obviously, to provide the training. I think at this point in time, what he has in mind is to have Michelle just take phone messages, get it to him either via telephone or email, and then when people come in, take some of the paperwork that they bring in, especially at the beginning of the year, and to at least get that in order so that whatever needs to be done with the paperwork at that point in time. I don't know if he intends to pass the paperwork on from Michelle to Mike, or it's going to go from him, Michelle to John himself, I'm not sure. But it's necessary to, and correct me, Laura, you can jump in at any time if you like, okay? It's important that, you know, Laura's records get updated in a timely manner so that the people that are entitled to the different,
March 1 is taxable status date, and that's when all the renewals have to be in to the local assessor so that they can input them on the computers. They usually go out the end of the year, right around the same time tax bills go out, the renewals go out. So from the end of the year until that March 1 deadline,
busy.
it's busy. Very, you know, applications are coming in, need to be reviewed.
And many of the people, not all, but many of the people are elderly and need help. And if you send them 3 forms and one's yellow and one's green and one's purple, and they get it in the mail and one's yellow and one's green and one's orange, they get confused, like real quick. And so it's, Sam?
Supervisor, I'd like to see us go out with RFP. I don't think that the number of days that he has put in that he will be here is sufficient for our individuals. in the town. Not everybody has the flexibility where they can, take certain time off only once a month.
No, he said he'd come now, he's up to twice a month. being
Well,
here.
still twice a month. Yeah. And especially when you get to the part of the year, as Laura's indicated, when it becomes exceptionally busy, 2 days for people to come and you have 30 people lined up because they can't come in any other time and wait, some people maybe 10 minutes, some people maybe a half hour, whatever the case may be.
Just keep in mind that his current contract doesn't say he could be there on a weekly basis. It said he would have somebody staffed in the office on a weekly basis. And happened to be Mike McGuire, and Mike was very efficient at what he did. And I'm not saying that Michelle could not become as efficient as Mike, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to train people and get up to speed. But I do owe it to get back to John tomorrow or Wednesday and say, okay, John, this is where we're at.
Which town has a couple, you've got a contract with your local assessing firm that's doing your assessing for you. You've got a couple options. If you want, the contract time, your 90 days or whatever, you could, look to hire an assessor, an RFP with another company, which is what you ended up doing this past cycle. Shared services, assessment services.
Explain a little bit about
The
shared services, because
county.
it's probably,
It's new.
No.
Yeah. Right now, for the upcoming 2019 year, I'm hiring a data collector at the county that's going to do some data collecting for some towns in Washington County. And with the reappointment cycle and being October 1st of 2019, there may be some towns that are looking for the county to do some assessment services. We currently are, the county currently employs the assessor for the town of Granville. So there are possible other options out there depending on what route the town wants to take.
any other board member have any comments?
I would agree with Sam.
Yeah, I think what I want to do is have a conversation with John tomorrow and say, look at, having Mike no longer on site is quite a loss. And people were able to come to Mike's office and be able to get answers right away. It's not fair, this has no reflection upon Michelle. Michelle, I'm sure, in time could learn how to do what Mike did.
Yeah, but we're coming right into the,
It's-
if it was in July,
Right, it'd be a lot different.
Yeah.
You'd have a period of time to get her up to speed.
yeah.
And, Michelle, you couldn't ask for someone who would want to be more helpful. She was at the office today. Today's Monday, it's not Tuesday. She didn't have to be there. She over the weekend, I overheard her say to Barbara, she's working to get everything organized, Take nothing away from her about that at all. But I think I need to have a conversation with John saying, John, we need you here. And if not, the board wants to take some other direction at this point in time. Is that okay with you, everyone? Comfortable?
The only question I would have is if you're bringing up, if you're gonna start interviewing different people or whatever, that's time consuming too. And again, we're at a time crunch time.
You'd never, we would never get a new, first of all, we'd have to work something out with John, if we would make a change, when would the change take place? Would it take place, it's not gonna take place in January, I can tell you right now. It's not gonna happen, okay? There's a period of time that he would have to.
Didn't Mike also say something about he would, if we needed him to stick around a bit longer, he could delay?
No,
No?
he's gonna still work with John,
Right,
but not on site here.
you couldn't delay that.
I don't think that
No,
was.
his other position already started.
So, it started this week, didn't it?
Yeah.
So, I will have that conversation with John tomorrow, and we'll see where that's gonna go, okay?
Supervisor,
Yes.
may I just ask Laura one more question?
Sure.
Laura, There used to be a time frame when they had to be certified or having certain requirements to be an assessor.
To be an assessor,
Is that
yes,
still-
there's classes that you have to take, and it's a 3-year certification, takes approximately close to the 3 years because the way the classes are given. There are, and you had asked about training, Deborah. The state does offer training, usually 2 or 3 times a year, online classes where they can start the basic assessment administration classes. We do have a couple people who are currently taking those classes that are located in other towns in Washington County to become assessors clerks. Actually, they're clerks, but they want to move up further. But yeah, the training isn't, you can't just call next week and start the like official training, but.
Are any of them anywhere near the end of their 3 years?
What's that?
Are any of these people you said that are currently in the course somewhere near their end of their 3 years?
Well, no, but they've started. They've started the process.
Okay, anything else on this? No, sorry. Correction. All right, let's move on to the resolutions this evening. First resolution is number 113, Barbara.
Resolution authorizing the adoption of local law 3 of 2018 entitled "A Local Law Amending the Number of Planning Board Members."
Okay, as you know, the local law that's being looked at this point is to amend the number from 7 down to 5 members, board seats on the planning board. I need a motion for this resolution.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any further discussion needed? I votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, number 115, Barbara?
Accepting part-time court attendant resignation of Richard Scouten.
Okay. It states that the resolution states that we have his written resignation. We do not have his written resignation. We have his verbal resignation. He's been asked to provide the written resignation, and for some reason we have not got it to date. But we will accept his verbal resignation at this point in time and will pursue, still trying to get the written resignation. So we need a motion for that.
I'll move it.
Second.
Any further discussion? I votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Number 116, Barbara?
Resolution appointing part-time court attendant David E. Nabozny.
And this is effective on January 1st of 2019 at $12.75 an hour. And like it's always been 12 to 15 hours per month, but it varies from month to month. We need a resolution for this?
I'll make it.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion needed? I votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Next is resolution number 117.
Accepting letter of resignation from part-time clerk to the assessor from Michael McGuire, effective November 30th, 2018.
Okay, we need a motion for this.
I'll move it.
Second.
Who's the second?
Gretchen.
Gretchen. Any further discussion? I votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Okay, next is number 118.
Adjusting assessor's contract to reflect the resignation of part-time clerk to the assessor.
You may recall that when Mike McGuire became a employee of the town, we lowered, I should say, the MAS contract to John Bonanno by $4,000. And now that he's gone, that Mike has resigned, we need to put the $4,000 back into the contract. Obviously, for the year 2018, we'll only put 1/12 of that back for the month of December, and then the balance, would be for 2019. But it's only the 4,000 will be in the budget, but it will only contract still will end at the end of September 30th. Okay, so we need a motion for that.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion needed on this? I votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays, any abstentions? Okay, next is resolution number 119.
Awarding Constellation New Energy, Inc., NIMO CI as supplier of electricity to town.
You remember last month, when James Bono was here, he shared with us that Constellation New Energy would have a rate of, at that time it was 0.061, and it went up to 0.062. I reached out to several companies to see what we could do to, as far as rates. USG&E, they had a variable rate of 0.0899 and a fixed rate of 0.07290. That was only for a 12-month period of time, but it's still higher than what the Constellation rate was. American Power and Gas had offered a variable rate of 0.0499, which is attractive, but they had, it was kind of odd, it was a 25% return on any price increase. So as the price went up, you would get 25% of the price increase and they would keep 75%. And that was a variable rate, and I didn't think that that was attractive. So my recommendation to the board is to go ahead and go with Constellation New Energy for a 2-year period of time for 0.06212 kilowatts per hour for 24 months, and that represents a 31% reduction in what we're currently paying today. So I need a motion for that.
So moved.
Any further discussion needed? Aye votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Number 120, there's not going to be a vote on this evening.
Jeff, would this be a
Supervisor,
withdrawal?
Do you need a motion to table that, or table it?
Yeah, we're gonna, I don't know, I don't know if we're gonna table it, we're just gonna have a discussion at this point in time, until we know what we're gonna do overall. Number 121, Barbara.
Setting 2019 organization meeting for January 2nd, 2019 at 6 PM at the Port Ann Town Hall.
Okay, so the meeting on January 2nd for the organization meeting will definitely not take place here at the town hall. Okay. Need a motion for that?
I'll move it.
No second it?
Any further discussion? Aye votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions? Okay, number 122.
Resolution to modify the 2018 budget by transferring funds between appropriations, $307.60 from assessor personal services to assessor contractual.
And this is going to be for the month of December of 2018. We need a motion for that.
I'll move it. Second.
Any further discussion? Aye votes aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions?
Supervisor,
Yes.
you indicated at the bottom that was a roll call vote. from the-
Yeah,
I was
you're
just
right.
gonna ask about
Yes,
that,
you
yeah.
definitely need one. Yeah.
Councilman Fletcher,
Yes.
Councilman Hall.
Yes.
Councilwoman Stark,
Yes.
Councilwoman Witherell.
Yes.
And Supervisor Moore.
Yes. Okay, now 123.
Resolution to modify the 2019 budget by transferring funds between appropriations, $4,120 from assessor personal services to assessor contractual.
We need a motion for that. This is for 2019.
I'll make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion needed? Roll call vote needed?
Councilman Fletcher,
Yes.
Councilman Hall,
Yes.
Councilwoman Stark,
Yes.
Councilwoman Witherell.
Yes.
And Supervisor Moore.
Yes. Number 124.
Approving 2019 contract with Mountain Medical for drug and alcohol testing.
The current company that we use, they're in the process of going out of business, or ending their business career.
Yep.
Okay? And the school, the Fort Ann School, and the town of Fort Ann, I'm going to contract with Mountain Medical for the drug and alcohol testing. I've sent you a contract that lists the prices. They are for, because we have 10 employees or more, the yearly fee is $100, and then for urine drug screening, $55, alcohol breath testing, $36, and DOT CDO physical, $130. And then they talk about what they're, if you do, you have to have special hours, and it's $120 an hour, but it's 2 hours, and then we'll be doing this during the daytime, when it's normal business hours or 3 at all. But you don't know, I mean, if you have a special situation.
If you had an accident or something at night,
like
you
that,
have to go.
you have to be able to do what you gotta do. So, any further, we need a motion for this, to approve the contract.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
We need a, any
Question.
further- Kevin?
Were there any other,
Well, it's, the uniqueness of this is we'll be able to do it with the school, and we have the guys go right to school.
okay.
Any further discussion? Aye votes?
Aye.
Any nays? Any abstentions?
Does that start the 19th or the 1st?
I think it's gonna start tomorrow when I sign the contract.
Because you're still under contract for
Check
the
the way,
18th.
it's started on, but are they still gonna perform those ones, you know? If they
She
are,
says they are.
okay, then we'll stick with them and we'll make this effective on the 1st. On the contract, Paul, it's asking for your signature. Do you want me to sign it? I mean, you can sign it if you want.
Go ahead.
Got my socks on?
Yep.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the opportunity for the public to be heard. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak this evening? If there is, please raise your hand. Laura?
Just one thing, a month and a half or so ago, I came to the firehouse here and spoke with your local senior citizens group regarding the changes to the IDP, which is the Enhanced STAR program. I did find there were a few people that were not receiving the aged exemption, and we actually found a veteran that wasn't 40 and that wasn't receiving the veterans exemption. So I've been going around to some of the different towns, senior citizens groups, to review all that information with them and to see, and we've had a few veterans and some senior citizens that weren't receiving all the exemptions they were entitled to. So
Thank you.
yeah, they had a nice group here for their meeting, and I
I don't
appreciate
want
that.
to make you, I don't want to make your face turn red and embarrass you in any way, shape, or form, but and you've heard me say this at the county already about you. Laura is, she runs real property down at the county. She does an exceptional job, and she is a pleasure to deal with. There is never a time when you go to her office where you don't get help immediately, if not sooner. Although she does call me the pest. And I somehow I think I deserve that.
Nope,
Okay.
nope, I appreciate that.
Yep, but you do a very nice job, and I was very thankful for what you do. And you have a nice staff down there, too, to say the least. Is there anyone else in the public that would like to be heard? Well, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say is that, you know, a lot of times we fight for stuff to get something done, and then we don't really show any appreciation after we get it done, and I have to apologize, because this town has accomplished a lot in the last 2 years. I guess the cemeteries, Battle Hill, everything else, and, you know, like I say, we're all looking for more to get done, but we do appreciate everything you have done.
Well, thank you. The board's done a nice job, I think, in the last several years. Now, Sam?
Yes, I would just like to have, Arlene, if you could just explain, we've been having issues with the water at the library, where it smells terrible. And we thought we had it fixed, and then we have been waiting for the individual who had done it to call us back. And Arlene, I think you have some news on that as to why he hasn't.
I just learned tonight that he has passed away, and so that's why he hasn't answered me back. So he hasn't answered
That
me
would
back.
be, be a possible reason why he didn't return the call.
Well, if he answers you back, Arlene.
I have problems.
So we will now research that further and try to find someone else that can
Do it.
can
It doesn't
the problem.
smell as much as it did, but it smells.
Paul, you have any recommendation of anyone to call?
There's a couple right here in Fort Ann, I don't know their names, but we can start there.
We just had, Denny just came up with Gary Allen. That we will do that.
Gary.
Gary
Oh,
Allen.
Gary.
So we need somebody to take care of our furnaces, we have what? one,
Yeah,
two,
today,
three,
Four,
four.
okay.
Well, today, talking about furnaces, today I thought we had a problem with the furnace, but it wasn't, but it doesn't seem to be acting right. And
I got one at the garage, it's not running properly.
Could you take a look at the thermostat at the town hall? That thermostat is as old as I am, okay? And maybe we can
You're still working.
They didn't have
open, just open, there you go, right?
I don't know anything about thermos, that's just a regular turn one.
Yeah, my grandfather used to have one of those,
Yeah.
okay? Do you think maybe we could, who would we get to maybe put one of?
Our furnace guy.
Okay.
I'll start calling around, I don't,
I don't.
anybody got any suggestions? I
Let me
don't.
make sure, I don't want to embarrass Paul.
No, you're not gonna embarrass me.
I was over at the garage and he said to me, here's a hammer and here's a screwdriver, Richie. Which one is the hammer?
I can start calling around, find somebody new if you'd like.
All right.
Well, Paul, thank you you went to the library and put a new battery in
Yeah.
the thermostat
Yep,
there.
and I left some batteries there, so if you have an issue, I think, I don't remember who was there. Mrs. Degner and maybe Barb Birch, I don't remember who was there, but they have spare batteries, so if you're gone,
Okay.
they do know what to do.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to be heard this evening? Well, I'm in the public, so I would like to be heard this evening. Bill, do me a favor, give me a list of issues that you'd like, okay? And then you and I will have a phone conversation.
No. No, you don't have,
Because
I know I got one at the garage. It should be.
I want to make sure it's in touch base. We don't say, oh my God. Alrighty, so next, we need a motion to go into executive session. And the purpose of the executive session is the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation or matter leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or a corporation. We need the motion to go into executive session.
I'll
I'll make a motion.
And we need a second?
second.
Speech here.
And the time now is 7:17.
What do you have?
And I don't think we'll be in executive session very long.
Where's Mike McGuire going?
You're gonna let me go, you know, before I go to bed, so I don't set my alarm?
What'd you say? I didn't hear what you said.
I said if you're gonna let me go, let me know before I go to bed, so I don't have to set my alarm.
He lives right next to us.
7:37, it's 7:37, and you need a motion to go back into public session.
I'll make it.
I'll second.
So it's Denny and Sam, and it was Debbie and Sam who did the motions to go into executive session. Okay, you need a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move. Okay, I'll second it.
Happy holidays, I should have said that.
Yeah, no.